Now, DailyMail.com, the world's most read newspaper website, brings you Daily Mail TV.
Hi, everybody. It is great to have you with us today. We appreciate your time, and we get right to it because it is a somber and sad day for all Americans as we cope with the carnage left at the Capitol. 4 people died after a mob of Trump supporters stormed the People's House in protest of Joe Biden's election. And now we are learning just who those rioters are, including the first casualty of the violent protest.
Law enforcement clearly overwhelmed as legions of Trump supporters break into the Capitol building.
We're willing to risk our lives! Do you understand?
Windows are broken and walls are scaled. Once the rioters are inside, the line of police falls. Members of Congress take cover as Trump supporters reach the Senate chamber. Just moments after Vice President Mike Pence started the proceedings to confirm Joe Biden's election, Jake Angeli, known as the QAnon shaman, stands on the dais. Richard Big O Barnett, a self-described white nationalist, puts his foot up on Nancy Pelosi's desk. Once outside the Capitol, he shows off mail that he has stolen from inside her office and admits he left her a nasty note. He may be referring to this menacing message, "We will not back down."
Hey, he's got a gun!
Trump supporter Ashley Babbitt tries to climb through a broken window. She's shot in the chest by U.S. Capitol Police and dies hours later. As the world watches in horror, Vice President Pence calls on the National Guard, not President Trump. With the Capitol finally secured, a first glance at the destruction left inside serves as a stark reminder of the damage that must be undone.
You want to fight? You better bleed! You devil!
Despite the attempt from certain Republicans and that violent MAGA mob to overturn the election, Joe Biden was officially certified as the next president of the United States at 3:41 in the morning, 15 hours after Congress initially gathered.
The announcement of the state of the vote by the President of the Senate shall be deemed a sufficient declaration of the persons elected President and Vice President of the United States.
Following that early morning news, President Trump finally promised an orderly transition, but the statement had to be released by aides because he had been banned from all of his social media accounts for policy violations. Our White House correspondent, David Martosco, has been watching the events unfold and reporting on them from Washington, D.C., and he joins us now. David, the president has essentially been given the mute button for the last 24 hours. Has it worked?
Well, Thomas, Trump had tweeted a video that praised the mob that stormed the Capitol and told them he loved them. But the decision to pause the president's Twitter is like telling a journalist he can't have a computer, a camera, a pencil. Twitter was instantly a lot quieter, and he needed his trusted aide, Dan Scavino, to tweet for him. It was a note saying he'll peacefully give the reins of power to Joe Biden, but he did not back down from false claims that the election was stolen from him. He still insists, and I quote, "I totally disagree with the outcome." Now, another place that got quiet was 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. Several big resignations, the deputy national security advisor, a deputy press secretary, the White House social secretary, and First Lady Melania Trump's chief of staff, Stephanie Grisham, who used to be Donald Trump's press secretary.
Well, they've taken it down to the wire. We have 12 days remaining in Donald Trump's presidency, but there are a lot of concerns about the damage that the president could do within that time. What's the likelihood, though, David, of the 25th Amendment being enacted, being used?
Well, Thomas, everything is on the table right now, and we're hearing members of Trump's cabinet are considering invoking the 25th, declaring Trump is unfit to serve and removing the president immediately. Vice President Pence would have to okay it. The only other way is if Congress convenes a panel of experts to make the declaration, and, well, there isn't time. He's leaving office soon. In Congress, Democrats, especially, the squad, well, they're calling for immediate impeachment and conviction in the Senate. You see, that would prevent Donald Trump from ever running for federal office again.
Meanwhile, we have all the former presidents, Carter, Bush, Clinton, and Obama, condemning the actions in Washington, D.C. In statements, President Obama somberly said, quote, "History will rightly remember today's violence at the Capitol as a moment of great dishonor and shame for our nation." David, we know it's going to be another busy day in D.C. David Martosco, we'll talk again shortly. Thank you, sir. Hi, everybody, and welcome to the show. It is great to have you here, and it's out with the old and in with the new at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. President Joe Biden quickly getting settled and right to work on his first day in office. We have all the details on those 17 new executive orders and the party that followed. But first, what we now know about the letter former President Donald Trump left for his successor, Joe Biden, on the Resolute desk.
The President wrote a very generous letter. It's because it was private. I will not talk about it until I talk to him, but it was generous.
President Joe Biden praises the note left to him by former President Donald Trump, but his lips are sealed on what was written inside. Instead, the 46th president focusing on taking action for the American people in the redecorated Oval Office. Biden, of course, surrounding himself with family photos, including this touching shot of his deceased son, Beau. Also, behind the Resolute desk, a bust of labor and civil rights activist Cesar Chavez. Later, while swearing in around 1,000 political aides, Biden makes good on his commitment to decency, promising that disrespect will not be tolerated in the White House.
But I'm not joking when I say this. If you're ever working with me and I hear you treat another colleague with disrespect, talk down to someone, I promise you I will fire you on the spot. On the spot.
The new White House press secretary, Jen Psaki, is doubling down on the administration's commitment to honesty from the briefing room.
Rebuilding trust with the American people will be central to our focus in the press office and in the White House every single day.
The National Mall filled to the brim with star power, but no crowds in the Celebrating America virtual concert. Amid the fireworks and knockout performances, an 8-month-old steals the entire show. This is little Beau Biden dancing with his grandfather, a joyful moment before the real work of uniting the country begins.
There isn't anything we can't do if we do it together.
All right, Delaware may be in Joe Biden's heart, but he has a big, brand new home at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue now that he is officially president. The White House, it's a big upgrade, and we know a lot about it, right? The Oval Office, or say the Rose Garden. But the White House has a lot to offer, and our correspondent there, David Martosco, is joining us now from Virginia to explain some of the details. And you know this White House inside and out. What secrets can you reveal?
Well, Thomas, the White House is divided into 3 parts. The West Wing is the president's office and where reporters work. The East Wing is the First Lady's domain, where you'll find the Blue Room and the Green Room. The Clintons called that the music room because Bill Clinton used to play the saxophone there. The executive residence is upstairs in the main building, and that's not just where the Bidens live now. They'll entertain guests there, and there's some special perks upstairs, too. A 40-seat movie theater, a private kitchen, the Lincoln bedroom, and a personal gym. Donald Trump had a golf simulator put in there, but it's gone now. And connected by a tunnel in the old executive office building, there is a bowling alley that President Harry Truman put in. Truman, Eisenhower, and Nixon, they were all big bowlers, but today it's mostly for the president's grandchildren. And how you really know you're at the White House, a doomsday bunker under the North Lawn. But if you want an indoor swimming pool, you're out of luck. JFK loved FDR's pool, but it's underneath the press briefing room, and nobody has filled it with water for decades.
The Bidens are also bringing something to the White House that has been missing over the last 4 years: dogs. If I know anything about dogs, I'm sure that Champ and Major are enjoying getting their feel of the place, marking some spots, their territory. David Martosco, thank you, sir. Appreciate that report. Now, we want to bring you the very latest in the case of Gabby Petito, who vanished on a cross-country road trip with her fiancé, Brian Laundrie. We turn now to reporter Caitlin Becker in Los Angeles with more information. Caitlin, what else have you learned?
Well, Thomas, Utah police have come forward revealing that they responded to an incident involving Gabby and Brian just 2 weeks before the 22-year-old was last seen in Wyoming on August 24th. Now, it's not clear what the incident was, but we do know that neither Gabby nor Brian were the reporting party. Moab Chief of Police Brett Edge says officers conducted an investigation and determined that insufficient evidence existed to justify criminal charges. Now, Gabby was reported missing by her family on September 11th, and Brian has now officially been named a person of interest in this case. He had already hired an attorney, but was refusing to cooperate with investigators. And Thomas, thousands of comments are now flooding in on his Instagram asking him to help find Gabby.
Caitlin, please continue to keep us updated on this one. Thank you. Hi, everybody. We are very glad to have you with us, and we get right to our top story.
In a bizarre twist, prominent South Carolina lawyer Alec Murdaugh hired the hitman who shot him in the head. Curtis Edward Smith is charged in the attempted assisted suicide of Murdaugh. But why was Murdahl trying to die? The answer may shock you.
He arranged to have this guy shoot him.
Alec Murdahl's lawyer, Dick Harpootlian, blames his client's opioid addiction for his decision to hire a hitman and attempt to end his own life. A series of family tragedies began in June when Murdahl's wife Maggie and son Paul were shot to death. No arrests have been made in that double murder. Then, just one day before Alec Murdahl was shot in the head, he was pushed out of his family's prestigious law firm. He stands accused of misappropriating millions of dollars. On the Today Show, Harpootlian admits Murdahl used most of that money to buy drugs.
He had converted some client and law firm money to his own use, and again, spent most of that on opioids.
But Craig Melvin pushes back.
The vast majority of it, as I understand it, was used to buy drugs.
That's a lot Dick, that's a lot of oxy.
Harpootlian maintains that in a depressed stupor as a result of opioid withdrawal, Murdahl reached out to a former client of his, Curtis Edward Smith. According to this report from South Carolina law enforcement, Murdahl asked Smith to end his life, even providing him with a firearm to shoot him with. Murdahl believed his death would allow his living son, Buster, to cash in on his $10 million life insurance policy.
It was an attempt on his part to do something to protect his child.
After surviving his attempted assisted suicide by hiring a hitman, Murdahl admitted to the entire scheme. Smith has been arrested. His charges include assault and conspiracy to commit insurance fraud. Though Murdahl is cooperating with authorities, Harpootlian believes his client's arrest is imminent.
Yes, I think he will be charged.
For more on this story, just head over to dailymail.com. So just where did Will Smith's anger towards Chris Rock come from? Well, many were quick to point out that Chris had been going after Will for his personal life for years, and wasn't the first time that Chris had actually joked about Jada Pinkett Smith at the Oscars. Here's what Rock had to say back in 2016 when he hosted.
Jada got mad. Jada says she's not coming, protesting. I'm like, is she on a TV show? Jada's gonna boycott the Oscars. Jada boycotting the Oscars is like me boycotting Rihanna's panties. I wasn't invited.
Senior reporter Caitlin Becker is joining us now from the Los Angeles newsroom with more. And Caitlin, there are obviously a lot of opinions and feelings about this incident between Will and Chris. But one thing is fair to say is Will probably could never have predicted his night, his Oscar-winning night, to go down like this. But we know Rock hasn't pressed charges. But Will's behavior, could that lead him to being stripped of his Oscar by the Academy?
Well, Thomas, I'm gonna say no, only because if that was going to happen, I think they wouldn't have kept Will around to accept the award in the first place. Instead, we all watched Will's tearful acceptance speech where he did apologize to the Academy and said that he hoped to be invited back, but as you noticed, no apology to Chris Rock. Now, those who believe that Will should have his Oscar taken away are pointing towards the Academy's Standards of Conduct, which was published back in 2017, and it states there is no place in the Academy for people who have used their status, power, or influence in a manner that violates recognized standards of decency. Now, the Academy did finally respond to the incident after the award show concluded, saying only the Academy does not condone violence of any form.
And Diddy reportedly told reporters, Caitlin, at the Vanity Fair party that Will and Chris have already settled their issues, adding, quote, "It's all love, they're brothers." So there we have it from Diddy. But Caitlin, when you hear from Chris or Will, let us know. We will go with it then. Caitlin Becker reporting. Thank you. And now for the big reveal. People's 2021 Sexiest Man Alive is Paul Rudd. Yeah, the 52-year-old actor's cover was announced on The Late Show with Stephen Colbert, but not before he was put through his paces.
See what it looks like when you put one finger in your mouth. Two fingers? Can you get the whole fist in there? Thank you. Okay, yeah.
That is a talent right there. DailyMail.com female editor Charlie Langston joining me now with more. And Charlie, how do you feel about this? The people pick. Are you on Team Rudd here?
Is the Pope Catholic, Thomas? Paul Rudd is a stud, and it is finally his time to shine. Now, Paul is best known these days for playing Ant-Man in the Marvel movies, but we cannot forget his iconic role in Clueless as Cher's ex-stepbrother Josh. That movie came out 26 years ago, back in 1995, when Paul was just 26 years old. As if. And dare I say it, the man looks even better today than he did back then. It's like he's aging backwards. Paul jokes that he's going to get new business cards to reflect his sexy new title, and he fully expects his friends to give him a hard time. But that may not be the case. His close friend and frequent co-star Seth Rogen tweeted, "No arguments here," so he's already got a bit of support from his pals, Thomas.
Well, as he should. I mean, this is a big honor, absolutely a big honor. And I think you're right, because there might be a Dorian Gray painting in his attic somewhere, because he looks good. He's definitely got our vote. For more video, you can go to peopletv.com, and to see more of the men featured within this issue. Charlie did not nominate me, so I didn't make it, but you can find out who's in there by picking it up at newsstands nationwide starting on Friday. Charlie Langston. Great job, Charlie. Thank you. All right, everybody, please stay with us. We've got much more Daily Mail TV headed your way.
Coming up,
no one wakes up and decides they're going to be mad.
after her opioid overdose, how their dog helped save her life. And up next, where to find the hottest new attractions from this offshore floating amusement park and Justin Timberlake's new club to this trippy hidden gem.
A secret ski lodge.
Plus the amazing moment he goes from homeless,
I got a little surprise for you,
to the toast of the town.
Stay with us.